It should automatically go.
Did you know our specialty is custom ordered upholstery? Get the furniture you want and the fabric and color selection you want. With a free design service, we won't let you make a mistake.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Doesn't like everything working perfectly at 9:50, and then here we are at 10. Meteorologist Matt Law on alongside our meteorologist Gabe Maynard. You can see behind me some lightning strikes out there. So we do have some thunderstorms that we are monitoring. Luckily, no severe weather this evening, but certainly watching things closely. And temperatures go down from here. This was the pinnacle, whether we wanted it to be or not, of the heat. And hopefully, with this next front, it'll make a big difference. Now, listen, we're not going straight in the front, but straight in the fall, but it'll feel a little more fall-like over the next couple of days. Overnight storms, for some, are a possibility, and we think better rain chances are on the way for Wednesday. But of course, this evening we are watching.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynard.
Calm conditions continue overnight heading into the start of our Tuesday. Looking at that day planner, 78 closer to that 12 to 1 o'clock hour, early hours of our Tuesday. 76 around 7 as we head out the door tomorrow morning. So it should be a comfortable start. It's just going to be a mild start as we get our day started. Looking at that futurecast, keeps us dry overnight and into our morning commute. So it should be fantastic conditions paired with, honestly, a pretty good sunrise as well. See all those clear skies around the region towards your 6 a.m. Day goes on, that cloud cover staying out there towards Arkansas. We have this cumulus cirrus cloud mixture that we'll be having there by early afternoon, but then that'll transition into some isolated chances of moisture. You can see those pop-up showers happening there towards 3, 5, 7 o'clock. So make sure to have that rain gear ready as you head into any of your afternoon plans post-school, as you will be dealing with.
At Room to Room, did you know our specialty is custom ordered upholstery? Get the furniture you want and the fabric and color selection you want. With our free design service, we won't let you make a mistake.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 10.
Take two. Man, everything worked perfectly at 9:50. We're looking at stuff behind the scenes. It's great. So we'll see how this works. Okay.
Commercials are working.
Commercials are working? Okay. There's a little bit of a delay. I think we're okay. We'll find out here in just a second. I'm telling you. One of those days. Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopine. At least it's not a severe weather day. You know, we've been working on some stuff behind the scenes here, and we got a whole new switching system in yesterday that seemed like it was working okay, and I think we're probably okay.
It looks like it in chat that everyone said it's good.
There we go. Man. Okay.
It's good.
Anyway, we'll go back one graphic. We'll hit you headlines. Hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to make sure we're on radar here in just a moment. So we'll look at that here in a second. So Gabe will have that ready to click on over. But it's only down from here. You wrote that.
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. Oh, God bless it. Overnight storms for some. We are tracking some of those here in a minute. Better rain chances on the way for Wednesday. Let's look at that Mississippi Live Weather Radar. And again, thank you for joining us here from the Room to Room Weather Center. At least one of those times we were able to get Miss Lisa's stuff on there without without any issues. Check and see if your microphone's working as well, because then we'd be able to toss back over to you. Double check it.
Test, 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 test. No.
No?
I can't hear anything.
Yours isn't? Golly. Anyway, okay. Everybody texting at the same time. Whatever you did, don't touch it. It works. Appreciate that. Okay. Luckily, no severe weather in our area at this moment, though we did have, again, some reports coming in from northwest Mississippi a little earlier on. You could see one wind gust up there, where we did have those wind gusts up around, as you can see, at least a little bit of sporadic wind damage there up close to Itasca Drive, up around the Hernando area with one of the storms that did prompt a severe thunderstorm warning earlier on. I need to make sure they silence this, because luckily a lot of people watch us and a lot of people want us to do well, and all those people have chosen right now to text me and say, hey, everything's working. I appreciate that. Our most recent severe thunderstorm warning for locations out here near Greenville, that allowed to expire within about the last 10 minutes or so. We did get one report there of a wind gust reported from law enforcement there, multiple trees down within the city limits there in the Greenville area. Let's check out our camera there in Greenville at this point in time.
They're saying my mic, they can hear me.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought. Your mic's okay. I think it's just we can't hear it. We were trying to fix behind the scenes. Let me straighten up my American flag. We're trying to figure out behind the scenes so we could hear better here when I do live shots. And in the process, we fixed our audio issues from 6 o'clock, fixed it where we could kind of hear, but then we wanted to make it where we only heard some things and proceeded to break everything. Oh, well.
What a fun night.
What a fun night. Good times, right? So, just some showers out there. Luckily, nothing much more than that, though. As you can see, plenty of lightning strikes there in the Greenville area. We go up the road, another shot. Oh, excuse me, the first one there. Why do these both say Greenville? Double check here. These aren't both Greenville on here. I just haven't reprogrammed it. This north one is supposed to be Cleveland. And let's pull up the camera there in Cleveland, if we can, because I think that might be the Cleveland camera, and I just didn't change Greenville on my title there. So we got to remember that. In either case, kind of looking at the same lightning strikes, looking down there toward the Greenville storm that we do have. Clear that out on Mississippi Live Weather Radar. Bring it back to the latest scans there. And again, that's kind of on the downswing. Where we do have storms that are still kind of on the upswing, it's just sporadic storms. We talked about this during our 6 o'clock broadcast. I'll make this a much longer loop to kind of showcase this. We talked about how we kind of had that outflow boundary, that rain cooled air working its way southward from the storms. You can see that has kind of initiated these thunderstorms here that we're looking at. Quite electric up there closer to Baldwin and the New Albany area at this time for some of those spots up that way. And a decent shot here. We did get some video in. Assuming we can hear Gabe Maynor, I'm going to go ahead and do the boxes here so we can see the video, Gabe, that you ended up seeing related to this. You had some video come in?
Yes, and it's actually, I'm going to speak loud enough to where just in case we can hear it on both mics, but we did get a video submitted from Josh with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers over around the Baldwin area, and you can see it right here on your screen. I'm going to click play. Just the electricity with this storm, a lot of lightning associated with it, and a very active cell. So although it's not severe, lightning is damaging in and of itself, and so we got a great look there from Josh over there in Baldwin. I said it was energetic, and then it got a little dark. Let's see if it should be coming in with more lightning, because it's about a 1 minute loop. So he just basically put the phone up in the air and got some great shots of the lightning. We say, everybody be safe whenever there's lightning. You know, whenever thunder roars, head indoors. It's a saying for a reason, and so we want you guys to stay safe out there. But if you're able to, from a distance, get a clean shot of it, well, make sure to go and try and do so, because it's lightning is a fascinating topic. You get the electric current from the negative particles in the sky, positive current in the ground. Those things interact. You get a lightning strike. So when you're far enough away from it, it's a beautiful sight to see. But Josh did stay safe, and Josh was able to submit that beautiful video. And currently what we're left with is that basically splitting. You'll see two cells now, one moving through Baldwin and Guntown, and another cell that's actually trying to move through Alpine there along 348. So what we're hopeful for is that the Manor house gets some rainfall. Fingers crossed on that, because we've been a very dry household here recently. But Matt, I know that's the case for a lot of us here in North Mississippi. So getting better rain chances overnight and possibly into Wednesday, I mean, that's just a sight everyone wants to see.
Absolutely, everyone kind of hoping for that. And so again, lightning on the uptake there. Well, actually, look at our number of strikes here. Actually, this needs to be a much shorter loop, because we were looking kind of the overall pattern. So let's go ahead and get this back to the shorter loop here and get the lightning trend. So again, 169 strikes on this batch of storms at this instant, about as high as we have had. So again, these are not overly strong. We'll look three-dimensionally on these thunderstorms, as we often have done during the summer months here to assess kind of how strong they are. These are not particularly high storms. Let's kind of clear off all of that lower level cloud cover there on the exteriors, and let's cut it to the most intense parts. We do have some spots there, about 57, which is not over the top. If we're looking 60, that's when we're getting closer to hail. This is probably not some hail there, but to give you kind of the look on this, looking two-dimensionally, you can kind of see where the most intense part there is, and it's pretty much right over top of the Pratt's community. We'll put that back into a looping mode here for a moment. So it does have, again, some of the strong winds maybe up around 40 miles per hour as this collapses near Pratt's. Not impossible to get some of those wind gusts there closer to the Chapelville as well. We do have some reports of power outages coming in from this. I'm going to send it over. I rearranged my order on, we have changed everything this week, haven't we? And I changed my order, Gabe, bam. Let's go ahead and we'll look at some of those power outages, Gabe.
Yeah, so pull this up full screen. We can actually do a picture here. Actually, let's do power outages here real quick. A lot of power outages showcased down around the Greenville area. I know folks are saying about 1,500 outages, and whenever that peaked, just because of those strong wind gusts knocking down some limbs, knocking down some power lines. 100 over there along 55 and moving north towards Hernando and South Haven. 300. Is that 2,500 over towards Memphis?
Probably, yeah.
Golly. 200 there in Marion County, Alabama. So sporadic wind damage is, of course, a concern with these storms. Not necessarily a severe storm, but it doesn't take much with how dry things have been to knock over some of those limbs, and especially on dead and decaying trees. So that's usually what you get in this case. And we actually have a picture submitted by the North Mississippi Storm Chasers from Greenville, if we're able to pull this up here real quick. This was on Highway 1, I believe, in the Greenville area. And what it shows is a tree limb, a very delicate tree limb that snapped off the tree limb, or snapped off the tree, should I say, and fell onto a power line. You see that power line just over, I believe, the hood of the car right there. So it kind of gives you a visual aid of why there's so many outages. Well, that's one of the many reasons. So we're tracking sporadic wind damage, we're tracking power outages, and of course tracking more of those storms that are trying to develop. So Matt, a very active evening, albeit severe or not. I mean, Mississippi definitely packs a punch.
Absolutely, so appreciate that. Of course, our Gabe Maynard there in the room-to-room weather center as we're tracking these showers and thunderstorms at this time. Current time is right around, 10:15. Appreciate you sticking with us despite some technical difficulties tonight. This line of thunderstorms, again, below severe limits, and that's kind of good news. We need some rainfall. We're looking at some of the rainfall amounts on this. Actually, let's get a storm track on the whole thing before we kind of dig into anything else. Let's get kind of a motion on it and get kind of a generalized storm track here for some of these. And there's just not a lot, as much as I try doing that, there's just not a lot of movement. That's actually the issue with this storm up here near Guntown. It might be moving. Well, let's get out the handy dandy ruler here for a second. I mean, maybe 3 miles in the last hour. So again, that's why the rainfall is the issue, and that's the reason I was going to jump to the rainfall amounts, because you're looking at rainfall over the last hour. Most of this has occurred over the last hour. That is actually fairly substantial. Some spots we do have a few spots inch and a half. We're not the flooding levels on any of this, though. Over there in Hackleburg, closer to that, your levels are a little more significant. But it just shows that these storms just kind of sitting and dropping a decent amount of rainfall. Nothing that's super duper over the top, but some fairly hefty amounts of rainfall out of that. And then certainly the storms back in the Delta were a little more effective even than that is the case. I'm going to go to our site out of Jackson to get you a shot of that. And yeah, where you see some of the yellows there, that's on our scale where we're talking about more than 2 inches. 2.2 inches we show, maybe 2.3 inches, maybe a little bit of hail with this, but mostly heavy rainfall, and of course those gusty winds that we talked about a little bit earlier on. So I'm going to check in on Calhoun County. We saw that storm kind of popping up, but luckily, again, all these storms that we do have over North Mississippi are below severe limits. We'll look Pontotoc County as well, again, near Chesterville, Woodland area. This is Woodland in Pontotoc County, not Woodland in Chickasaw County. One of the things I'm noticing is that our radar here is finding some of these spots in smaller locations in some of the counties here. Of course, there's good food. We're going to have to see if we can change that because that's supposed to say good food. I talked to a woman there a couple years ago about that. But near 41, this be the Natchez Trace Parkway where my pointer is. These just kind of heavy rainfall. That's about it. So if you get the lightning and thunder, I would not be too terribly concerned. Let's come over here to Calhoun County. These actually do have a little bit of motion to them, but even said, they're only looking at maybe 10 to 12 miles per hour. So what I'm going to track the back end of these actually for folks there in Bruce, and we'll track it 8 to 10 miles per hour. And this is kind of the ending time for the more moderate rainfall. So for you in Bruce, we're looking about 10:31. This is when it ends. Pittsburgh, it ends at about 10:45 there. Shepherd 10:46, and about 11:02 for the Schoona area. Again, let's assuming we don't add a whole lot more to it. These are not swift storms, but certainly some heavy rainfall and lightning associated with them as well. So kind of bring things back in here. Again, we did our headlines off of the top as we look over the course of the next 12 hours, and we'll kind of go back over here. I'll swing back over to the main weather center over here in our room-to-room weather center, looking at our hour by hour. Again, we're kind of at the peak of the rain coverage the next couple of hours. Don't expect to have a ton of additional thunderstorm development, but these will translate from northwest to southeast through the area over that period in time. Here's a look at Futurecast. As you can see, generally speaking, again, those storms gradually heading southward, still showing some out there as of around, again, the 3 o'clock in the morning time period, but closer to Louisville and down toward around the Columbus area. This is one of our big stories coming in from north, this front that has some slightly cooler air with it, and more than anything, again, drier air that's going to make it less unbearable going forward. Certainly the heat has been a big part of that story. And again, as that moves in, a possibility to see some additional storm development along that boundary for tomorrow. You can see a greater chance of that. We're looking 2 to 3 p.m. We show some of those storms in Itawamba County, Monroe County, down there toward Clay County, out here toward Louisville, and back toward central Mississippi. And that mainly occurring along and very near that frontal boundary, and probably increasing in coverage into the evening. So not much activity overnight and early tomorrow, or at least by the first part of tomorrow morning. I think we'll kind of see a lull closer to midday. Maybe not a zero rain chance, but not particularly high one. 20% at 3 p.m., up to 40% by 6 p.m., and 9 p.m. at around 40% as well. Again, some scattered showers and thunderstorms out there into your evening time period as that front moves in and brings slightly cooler air, but still 96. We are plenty hot on the way for high temperatures on your Wednesday. We're at Wednesday, right? It's been
going into it. We're close.
Oh man, it's been a Tuesday, hasn't it? Well, you know what? Your Tuesday night forecast coming from our meteorologist Gabe Maynard here in a couple minutes. Stick with us here at 60 seconds as Mississippi Live Weather at 10, live from the room-to-room weather center with working microphones continues.
For more than 100 years, First Choice Bank has provided dedicated community banking to North Mississippi. The banking products and services you need when you need them. At First Choice, you're our priority. Make First Choice your choice for banking.
Community is the way we find our strength and share our hope. It's the way dinner on the table brings a family closer together. It's the way we make sure his first chapter book is the first step on his path to greatness. It's the way we rally in hard times and rise back up stronger than ever. United, is the way we come together so everyone can thrive. Join us at unitedway.org.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Laubheim.
Okay, we'll talk to Gabe again here in a second. Got another great picture coming in from Boonville, so as we cycle through a few of these, we'll see him here in just a moment. But appreciate all of our weather watchers out there for sharing your weather pictures with us this evening. Kind of an iridescent look here in some of the high clouds cast off from some of the thunderstorms earlier on. Regina sending this picture in from Baldwin with the dead tree there, and of course, it's kind of cool. We have the life, or I guess maybe dying storm going along with a dead tree at the same spot. Anyway, kind of cool shot there. Nice rainbow. You can see the gray, how it looks more gray kind of at this angle here as the sun refracting through that back toward us. Danny in Itawamba County there sending us that great weather watcher picture, and appreciate that shot there.
You had to include it.
We did have to include it. I mean, so the cat.
We didn't get a name, unfortunately.
Well, he might not have had audio. The way today has gone, the cat was like, everything looks fine to me. Appreciate that one. Ronnie there in Pontotoc. And of course, next time we need to know the name of the cat. Appreciate that. And Gabe, I think you have, again, that weather picture that we were talking about. What do you have coming up for us?
Well, actually, it was a weather video submitted to us from Boonville. This is from their ring camera. You can see the electric atmosphere over there in Boonville. This would have been the south side of the city as that storm moved on through. And so definitely an active system. I got to check the name here in one moment. I'll let you know. But we also got a video from Shayna that I can work to pull up here in a second of more of that electric atmosphere. Just lots of strikes with these storms. So definitely be on the safe side, because I don't know if we'll talk about it, but there was a fatality actually from a lightning strike up around Tennessee. So the lightning can be dangerous. It's not a severe weather element, but can definitely be impactful in its own right. So please, if there's lightning right above you, do not go outside. If it's far off in the distance, I mean, we're talking very far off, then go ahead and head out there and you can snap a picture, video, and then screenshot from there. But just do so in a safe manner, because these can be impactful, severe weather or not.
And what was the name that you were going to look up on that?
I got to go find it. So let me pull it up. It is Leslie Parker over there in Boonville. So big thank you to her. And also report from my weather watcher wife. She was driving home and she reported pea-sized hail. So that storm was really impactful.
On that storm between Boonville and Baldwin?
Yep, very briefly. She said she picked up the phone as soon as it started hailing and said, Gabe, is it okay? And as soon as she got the words out, it stopped. So,
well, we probably have passed that out along the weather service.
For sure.
That's kind of impressive. Appreciate that. I'll bring that back over here and we'll take a look at that on Mississippi Live Weather Radar. I wasn't going to be in live mode at this point here, but the fact that there's some hail out of that's interesting, because that would have been along 45 there, closer to Baldwin. Let's look 3D on this, because if, again, anytime we have, the more points we have on a line, the more we understand what storms are capable of. And so, and about what time would that have been, Mr. Maynor?
She called me at 9:30 to 9:40, somewhere in that time frame. So earlier on, as I was moving through Baldwin.
So you mean while I was working on audio stuff?
Yeah, stuffed away. I had to make sure she was driving safe. But torrential downpour on top of it, so she would have been just on the outskirts.
Okay, so could it have been before 9:30?
It probably could have been.
Okay, because that could be this hail core or precipitation core here. Let's go back. Give me a moment to kind of get it back. The reason why this is important is it kind of calibrates how we treat storms when we're able to know what they have already produced, because it's kind of like, Louisville football is going to be really good every year because or West Point, because they're really good every year. We've calibrated it to expect them to be a bulletin board most of their opponents, a bulletin board kind of game, because they've done it before. And so that increases the odds they'll do it again. And so when I'm looking at this here, that gives us an idea of what this has done with that kind of a hail core. And knowing that, this storm's a lot more impressive than that. So it's possible that that we could have a bit more hail with this section here, east of the Guntown area, moving there generally toward kind of east Saltillo, the Eggville area, Ratliff, all kind of in the path of that. So let's track that southward. Let's get a motion on it. So see, you might not think pea-sized hail makes a difference, but that one report there gives us an idea of what this storm is a little more capable of. So I'll kind of track that part in particular there that's a little stronger. I'm probably only moving it 12 miles per hour might be a little fast. But that will get us down there. Guntown, kind of obviously pretty much now. We're looking at Ratliff at about 10:39, similar time. Unity, Eggville at 10:59. I mean, I don't know that it holds together all these other spots. That's really pushing it far south to get it all the way there to Auburn. But that probably kicks out a little bit of wind, and maybe obviously near Eggville we have another storm that's kind of developing as well. So I'm going to leave the 3D on this, even though we're going to look at it in 2D mode, because that just kind of gives us an idea of what at least one of these storms has done. And so near Hackleburg here, let's give you, yeah, see there's this kind of area, we had a bigger flare up a little bit ago here in Marion County. That one's collapsed. I think this could expand southward again. It's just a matter of how much energy this still has left, but it's not going to be particularly swift. Like if that were to make it in 10 miles per hour, really probably be pushing it 11. That would go Hamilton. We're looking at about 10:13, or excuse me, 11:13 for you there, Pleasant Ridge, at about 11:04. Let's widen it out. Let's look at that where we're getting those kind of flare-ups there. Let's look at Calhoun County again, now that we kind of have an idea of what one of the other storms has done. I'm looking there at Calhoun County again, right over Bruce. Maybe a couple of small hailstones with that, but probably not as many as what we're having elsewhere. And then coming up here toward Pontotoc and the rest of Lee County, just to kind of get an idea. Yeah, near Troy again. These are, notice how you don't see as much pink. Again, we're looking two-dimensional on 3D stuff, but we've had those flare-ups of pink. Again, this is not at that. So really just want to have to watch that one up there. I'm going to look out of our Tupelo tower cam. We'll see if we have something that resembles an angle on that. Give me a moment here, of course, looking through the tower. But we are looking more of a southerly direction. So let me flip this the rest of the way around to get some lightning strikes out of, oop, I was looking at Cleveland. I apologize for that. So yeah, I think we actually might be looking the right direction out of this. Gabe, what do you think?
Yeah, it's
I
looking
can't quite,
north.
22 degrees. I can't quite read that there.
It's northwest-ish just a bit, because we were looking directly north. Of course, we'd be blocked by the pole, but...
I want to look north-northeast. Give me a moment.
You know that movie, Alice Through the Looking Glass?
Huh?
I feel like it's always Matt through the tower cam,
Through the
because
tower
you have to
legs.
look through the tower every single time on these. The
Well,
storms just know where to hide.
Luckily during severe weather season, that won't be the case, because during severe weather season, a lot of times our major storms move in from the southwest. And so this time of year, you sometimes get more erratic movement, including out of more of a northeasterly direction. You can see kind of the lower clouds there. Again, we're not going to see any tornadoes out of any of these this evening. It's just kind of the heavier rainfall. I'm just kind of partially interested to see the structure from this distance away. Again, lightning strikes, quite a few there. I appreciate the good folks of North Mississippi Storm Chasers for allowing us to use these cameras. You can support them at nmscas.org. North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters. If you spell out one letter for each of those words, North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters.org. You can donate to their cause and continue to put these up, and we appreciate all of them for doing that. Up in Saltillo, again, closer to it, the various cameras that we're pulling up there, you're getting kind of a cast-off lightning flashes showing up with this on those cameras as well. So, yeah, luckily the storm's, again, below severe limits. Let's go ahead and do the rest of our regular weathercast, because we have gotten on the slow track today, working at the speed of Matt's audio system. 79. As you can see here, kind of cloudy, and obviously we've had some showers around the Oxford area earlier on. We're 81 degrees for that feels-like temperature, which luckily is not going to be as extremely hot. And again, here, back to the Tupelo camera that Gabe already had prepped in the regular show for us. Again, watching those flashes. Not a severe thunderstorm, but there probably is some hail. And I think if you can just kind of see, you'll see a little outline here where that heavier precipitation is occurring. That's probably where some of that hail is falling as we look back toward the northeast. Generally speaking, north of Eggville at this time, near the Pratt's community, near the Lee and Prentiss County line, close to the intersection there of Itawamba County. That is where, of course, we're looking at some of that hail falling out of this. I do think there probably is at least some pea-sized hail, considering what we got from Mrs. Maynor a little bit ago there along 45. And then Winona, 86, feels like 91. Not a lot to show at this instant here, though we had some thunderstorms around earlier on. That actually might be just a little bit of fog there close to the horizon. In Greenville, Of course, we've had those rain showers and thunderstorms around. We did have that report of at least some spotty wind damage in and around the Greenville area earlier on. At this instant, though, lightning more sporadic, and in Clarksdale, again, showing up with the dark skies. Not a lot of lightning strikes out of that camera at this instant in time. So again, back here, the Mississippi Live Weather Radar. And how many radar images did you put in here, Gabe?
I
A whole
put
bunch?
3 because there was that severe thunderstorm warning that was issued earlier along the state line, along
Gotcha.
the river.
So do you want to trade me places on this? I'll let you deliver part of this here.
Yeah,
since you
'cause
did
you're
set
talking
this up,
through a show that
that I had never seen.
my head put together, and there's no telling what my head was thinking at 9:30 this evening.
Yeah.
So the reason why I included this is because some of these more intense storms were happening along the Mississippi River. Severe thunderstorm warning was issued earlier on, but that has
By the way, power out in Baldwin since about 10ish, according to Belinda. Appreciate that.
We need to pull that power outage map back up at some point if we can, to see if it's updated. But
Okay, you get to your last radar image and I'll go back.
Okay, sweet. So that severe thunderstorm warning now in effect for parts of northeast Louisiana. So as you can see, trending away from our area, but more rain chances are moving in on the northern side of the storm. So we're watching for that into the future, into the overnight hours, and of course into the start of our Wednesday as well. Now, you said last radar image, and I was like, no, I'm going to skip that. But we'll go back to it, and let's pull up those power outages while we are here, just so we can walk through that. I do want to say there was actually some reports of 59-mile-an-hour wind gust over there towards Greenville, so that kind of puts into perspective just what we were seeing with a few of those storms. As you know, 60 miles an hour, that's over that severe thunderstorm warning threshold. So power outages have not,
Yeah,
well, I guess
there's some-
Baldwin,
there's some
right
Prentiss
along
County.
what is that at, like 1,000?
Give me a moment. Do you know how to run radar over there? You want to run it for a minute?
Sure.
I'll see if I can get a better one up over on the laptop.
Yeah, so 1,000 outages in the Prentiss County area, primarily towards Baldwin. So it shows you that was an intense thunderstorm, and some of those hailstones or some of those wind gusts knocking out a few of those, causing a few of those power outages in select areas. As we talked about earlier, 100 there towards Marshall County. You can see 300 close to Hernando, and then towards Batesville and Panola County, 100 outages. Greenville, so we talked about earlier, I am blocking it, but 1,500 outages there with that severe thunderstorm that rolled on through. Keep in mind, 59-mile-an-hour wind gusts, enough to cause some sporadic damage to trees and limbs, and even knock down a few of those power poles. 200 towards Marion County, so even some heftier portions out there. And as we look up north, I'm going to take this up north so we can see it, 2,500 outages around the Memphis area. So significant storms, even though some have been severe, some haven't, still going to be impactful in its own right.
Okay, I'm going to bring it over here for a second because I think we can,
Let me clear this off for you.
hold on, I think we can pull up some of those power outages over here. So this is our power outage map. Appreciate the good folks over there at Prentiss County Electric Power Association for allowing us to use this. The pink area there, as you can see, showing about 1,300 outages, almost just under that. Again, that's not people, that's number of outages there. As of the last little bit here, about 50 outages in the yellow area, and a couple spots where we had more limited outages. But most of them, generally speaking, in and around the Baldwin area, a little north of Baldwin, where we're showing up some of those as well, and they do extend into northern Lee County. I did check Tom Bigby Electric Power Association. We do not have really any power outages with them at this point. Of course, we're just starting to kind of get closer there. And I guess some of those certainly are a little east of the Guntown area. If you, of course, have power outages to report to us, you can mention it in our live stream. We are monitoring that chat there. But yeah, obviously, Gabe is certainly looking at some power outages for some locations at this time.
Well, and you say east of Guntown, and that's where that strong thunderstorm continues to roll on through. Not severe, but it's about the same strength as what it was earlier on whenever it really peaked towards Baldwin, now moving towards the Pratt's community and there towards Kirkville on the northwest side of Itawamba County. So let's do a storm motion on this over the last 30 minutes to kind of get an idea, because what happened was it almost split from a different cell, and whenever it split, it just started soaking up all of the energy for itself. So I would say that's moving about southeast. I'm trying to get a good idea on that. There we go. Yeah, moving about southeast. So we're going to extend that, moving at about, I would say, is 12 to 15 miles an hour out of the realm of possibilities. This is a 30-minute loop.
You see, do you have it going southeast? I would go almost straight south on it, honestly.
It looks like it's building a little bit out there towards the east along that boundary. So I was trying to accommodate for that.
But
I think we can take it straight south.
I would go south with it.
So there's a look at a few of those times. Ozark closer to 1036, Centerville 1048, Eggville 1059, and then on there towards Dorsey by about 1126 if this were to hold together. But as we know, that's still an hour away, and these thunderstorms do not last long. But that's that more intense part of the thunderstorm, and we do have our threat tracker right here. Actually, I can just click it right here. There we go. So yeah, showing, what is that, upwards of?
That's probably 1 inch hail. It did briefly say 1.5 inches. And again, this is peak threats as opposed to like all of the, what's the word I'm looking for? You will have some other threats, you know, possible. A lot of times they're lesser amounts. But yeah, that's kind of the peak threat.
And also what you're getting with large hailstones is if those were to melt, those are some hefty raindrops as they fall from the sky. So you're going to get some almost blinding rainfall as you're driving underneath these storms. So definitely don't want to be on the road driving through this. Go ahead and let it pass on through because we know it's summer. It's a small storm, so it's not going to be overly impactful to your time frame. You'll get home. Just give it a second to pass on through. But a little bit of that hail reaching the surface. I'm curious now, if we take this back about, let's see, what would that have been if it was 9:20? We'll go take it back 2 hours. And I want to see what it was as it was moving through 45. I mean, it's definitely peaked a bit more than what it was. If it's about an inch and an inch hail report on our severe weather threat. So probably getting P to maybe dime-sized hail at this point reaching the surface. So curious to see if we get any reports out of the Pratt's community. Again, you guys help out a lot with those reports, and we forward those directly to the National Weather Service to give the very latest on that information. So again, we could not do it without you guys, and you guys are a big part of what we do here at Mississippi Live Weather. I'm going to take this back to our show so we can kind of walk through it on that extended forecast. We're going to start with that school day forecast. And we know Wednesday, halfway through the week, 76 round drop off, 89 towards lunch, and 95 during the last bell. I do want to say we need to put some percentages on that because as we wrap up the day, some isolated showers start moving into that forecast. So we'll definitely be paying attention to that as we push into our Wednesday afternoon and evening. Futurecast showcases exactly that, is just that little bit of moisture, that little bit of showers and thunderstorms continue to progress through our area, and even by 2 a.m. wouldn't be surprised to hear a few rumbles of thunder on that forecast as well. So don't be surprised, but don't be alarmed either because it's not going to be a part of a severe storm. And if we're inside, we're where we need to be. Wednesday, starting off on the drier side, there was a chance at a few of those pop-up showers, but not overly high. It's just going to impact a few of us for our morning commute. Low temperatures, low to mid 70s, with a few areas still coming in with around 75 to 77 degrees. So that mild and muggy start to the day, it's still in the forecast, but beyond this point, we're trending cooler for both high and low temperatures, a little something we can look forward to. And a big reason for that is our frontal boundary. You see it at the top of your screen right there, progressing more into the Memphis area towards our Wednesday morning, that becoming a bit more apparent closer to lunchtime. And whenever we get that frontal boundary paired with the Gulf moisture pushing in, that's where we'll be seeing a few of those pop-up showers there towards the afternoon. I said by 3 o'clock, you wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities to have a 20% chance, maybe even 30%, as that frontal boundary really kicks in and forces a lot of these into that lifting mechanism to allow some of these to be produced. So hefty showers for sure, some of those heavy downpours as well as gusty winds wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities either. That continuing into our 5 and 6 o'clock hour. Now coverage, not nearly as intense as what it was in a previous model run, but I'm not putting it past it because these frontal boundaries, especially whenever you have such a saturated atmosphere like we do with those pop-up showers, I definitely could see a few of those on the uptick towards our Wednesday afternoon and evening. High temperatures, mid-90s still around the region, upper 90s showing up towards Greenwood, Belzona, and Greenville. But for the rest of us, 92 Boonville, Red Bay, 96 Amory, 97 Houston, at least trending a few degrees better, and we'll take everything that we can get. Triple digits still showing up for a lot of locations, so those heat advisories are still in effect. We'll get to that in just one moment, but it is still going to be impacting our forecast with a few of those hot and muggy conditions causing those heat advisories to be issued. 9 p.m. on your Wednesday, those rain chances still trying to linger in the forecast. And as you can see, I mean, we're going to be talking about showers and storms even at Mississippi Live Weather at 10 tomorrow evening as well. So if you want to get rainfall, this is your best chance to do so because beyond this point, things start to dry out a lot as that drier northern air starts to kick in just a bit more. Thursday morning, starting out mostly dry, a few pop-up showers still trying to linger, but partly cloudy skies will highlight our morning commute in its entirety. Those clouds becoming thinner there towards the afternoon, and we'll be seeing minimal chances. Minimal chances is a stretch of the imagination just because it's not as moist of an environment. Look at the northern wind component just blowing in that continental air, which is drier and cooler, forcing a lot of those rain chances south and out of North Mississippi. So Wednesday, that's your day. And if it doesn't work out Wednesday, well, chances are very, very slim that we get those that rainfall in that extended forecast. High temperatures, low 90s, so already seeing the effects of that frontal boundary. Upper 80s showing up for a lot of us too. 89 Hamilton, 88 Corinth, and 89 over there towards Lafayette County in Oxford. Heat indices follow that same trend with a lot of double digits still showing up and drier air pushing in as a result. So these heat indices are going to be pushed back even more, almost lining up directly with our actual temperatures. So heat advisories, extreme heat warnings probably not being issued beyond Wednesday because of that cooler air that's pushing in, and it will be a noticeable difference for the latter part of our work week. This still in effect through 7 p.m. on our Wednesday, so make sure to have that have the water bottle handy and of course have ways of staying cool through the day. Wet bulb globe temperatures showcases those high values out there in the Delta, still with pockets of extreme. This almost looks like a watermelon with seeds. Looking at it now, that's my intrusive thought for the day. Matt, what do you think? Is that a great way to describe wet bulb globe? That's how you remember it. If you're in the Delta,
I'm ready for bed, Gabe. I'm seeing red and yellow and green. That's all I got for you.
So you're telling me, hey, Gabe, let's wrap this up.
No, well, maybe, but we'll get back to radar one more time before we wrap it up.
Okay, well, I'll try and go quick because I know a lot of us are trying to head to bed as well. It is late tonight. So that wet bulb globe temperature extending into Thursday, conditions look much better. The watermelon goes away, and we won't be seeing those high or extreme values beyond that point. Friday, similar forecast. So that noticeably different forecast, well, we'll be seeing that in full swing. Here's your look at that temperature graphic. 92 Thursday and Friday, 93 Saturday, but cooling off to the upper 80s Monday. Mid-80s come Tuesday. Heat indices following that same trend, dropping back into those bearable values for Thursday and Friday, and off the screen in its entirety for Monday and Tuesday, showing you that those heat indices are going to be so much better. I mean, a fake fall is what we're calling it. But summer, of course, we're still in the thick of it, so I wouldn't be surprised to see those warm back. We'll just take all of the benefits that we can get for the early part of our work week. Rain chances, of course, peak for your Wednesday, limited in coverage for Thursday and Friday before drier conditions push in this weekend. So, Matt, that's one of the things we'll be tracking and, of course, walking through that forecast. But let's go back on radar here real quick so we can kind of walk through that forecast in more detail of just what we're seeing outside right now.
Okay, and before that, I do want to, of course, remind people, a lot of times people get, scared of storms. In this situation here, I want to remind folks about Weather Call because it will let you know if this is a storm that actually is producing significant damage. That's not to say you can't get some spotty stuff, but when the National Weather Service, which is, of course, an arm of the government, issues severe thunderstorm, tornado warnings, things of that nature, they pass through Weather Call, and that is my voice that goes along with that. So I always recommend it on a night like this because while we don't expect anything significant, I think it's highly likely we do not have tornadoes or anything like that. I think it would be very shocking for us to get that out of this disorganized of a pattern. Now is the time to be thinking about those alerts and the way you can find out if you're in the danger zone. My voice will call you from that and let you know if something bad is coming your direction in a significant, high-end and likely damaging way. We'll still sometimes get sporadic reports of damage, but those reports that we did get back out in the Delta a little bit earlier on, including the ones we had out back for the Greenville area, those were under severe thunderstorm warnings. They had one in effect when these all came in. So reports there, as you can see, 850 law enforcement with multiple trees down there within the Greenville city limits. Report of 59 mile per hour wind gust, and anything above 58 miles per hour is a severe wind gust. And then, of course, again, another one there corrects the time there, but about 8:30-ish, the time period when some of those reports came in. And of course, the other spot where we had wind damage, we also had a severe thunderstorm warning up there in the northwest part of the state. And so going back to what Gabe had kind of mentioned a minute ago there, when we start looking at folks in and around Saltillo and Guntown with this, the reason why we have not, this does not have that same level of report is it's not as strong. It's been strong enough to produce, again, some of that hail. We do think aloft probably in it, looking three-dimensionally on this there. We do have some spots. I'm going to actually slice through this. So give me just a second to do that so we can kind of analyze it by slicing through it. That'll get us up a little bit higher there. So you see closer to around I'd say 15,000 feet. It definitely looks a little more intense. We'll make this I'll make this a 30-minute loop because that will at least get us back to where we could see right there. We had the brighter pinks. That is largely fallen on this as well. Let me see if it'll let me zoom this in a little bit closer without it going crazy close. There we go. Okay. So now I would say, and I'm going to slice it one more time for you as we look at this here. Yeah, there we are. Oh, it already had the slice on it. So you can kind of see some of the brighter pinks there aloft out of this near the Pratt's community on that loop. That is where we had some of that hail that's likely already dropped in Pratt's. But one thing I was able to see kind of looking ahead of it, I don't know if it's going to let me, I'm going to have to reslice it again. So we get the right spot here. Give me a moment. And so we'll slice it right like that. And so that way we can catch this storm that's running ahead closer to Eggville. That's probably our most impressive right now, but I would say even it is probably a little below what it was earlier on, and I'd say the largest that hail probably falling right now. So additional power outages possible with that if it does continue to strengthen. Look at the latest here on those power outages from Mississippi. This would be the folks in Prentiss County Electric Power Association. Let's make sure we have on their outage map. We like to go to the specific EPAs, partially just to give them a shout out because that's who's going to be going out to try to get the power back on. And we appreciate those folks that do that. I've said this before and I'll say it again. My grandpa was a lineman and there's a lot of linemen and women that certainly have to go into helping get this stuff back out. Our meteorologist, Gabe Maynard, what you got?
Well, they said that power is back on in Prentiss County, or at least for where Cindy is located at. So at least showing some better conditions for that, and the Prentiss County Electric Power Association in full swing, even at 10:45 at night.
Yeah, they have to be on nights like this, and we definitely appreciate them for doing that. And just appreciate y'all for watching us here on Mississippi Live Weather. I'm gonna double check on the wide shot here again one more time, see if there's anything else of major significance. We kind of talked about this a couple of times, this rain-cooled outflow boundary that we have. I'm gonna go to blue here and kind of draw along that right about there. That is what's starting off these thunderstorms. It's kind of moving in from the north and west. It kind of sort of acts kind of like a cold front. And so we expect to see additional storm development out here ahead of this for locations back out here toward Eupor and Amory. Again, most of it below severe limits, but this spot will have additional thunderstorms next couple of hours as this kind of moves in from the north and west. So anyway, with that in mind, of course, I want to encourage you to get the Mississippi Live Weather app. Whether we're on it or not that day, we got a lot of doodles on there. Let's clear that up for a second.
My favorite part is when people join later and they see that image, it's like, could they make it out? Could they understand what we had just talked about?
And the answer is hopefully. I don't know that they could. I'll put this up so you get a little better contrast with that there. But the Mississippi Live Weather app, free and available for all those different devices as we're looking out there of Pontotoc. Again, you can check out the camera in Pontotoc, all the different cameras in the Mississippi Live Weather app, and appreciate so many of you that have downloaded more than 100,000, obviously way above what we would have expected. Our next live broadcast, 5 p.m. tomorrow, unless there's a significant reason to come on for something else. Again, we typically aren't going to go quite this long. I keep saying that. I don't know how exactly we're going to treat this. The plan is to go wall to wall like we always have for for tornado warnings and for severe thunderstormings, to kind of play it by ear, where we try to cut in as necessary and cover as necessary. So the next live cast that's scheduled will be for 5 p.m. tomorrow. And again, thank you so much for watching us for Mississippi Live Weather at 10 from the Room to Room Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon, alongside our meteorologist Gabe Maynard. We will see you tomorrow.
For more than 100 years, First Choice Bank has provided dedicated community banking to North Mississippi. The banking products and services you need when you need them. At First Choice, you're our priority. Make First Choice your choice for banking.
Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.